Cheers, chaps.
Cheers. No. If it's open, people have got to do it like yes, it's natural.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Oh, this is not raining now. Oh, that's really interesting about the nudge thing. I think a lot of I think what's really interesting is people don't realise there are massive psychological teams working behind the government with them, on the effects of what the stuff that they come out with and tell us to do. Because people say things. I remember saying, it's really negative, the effects of this stay at home, because a lot of people are really thinking that it's dangerous to go out. A lot of people think the air is dangerous, and they've kind of barricaded themselves in their homes, and they're scared to go out. And then people say to me, well, the government wouldn't mean that. Really? And no, the government, so they sort of assume that the government means it in a really good way. In general, you should stay at home because you're saving the NHS. Now, the government know that the nation is paranoid and full of fear, and a lot of them are barricading themselves in their house. The fact that the government might not know this is rubbish.
They've carried out psychological operations for like a long time, and they know exactly the way people react. I think even the timings of it, so like the 3 weeks that we were initially given, and then the subsequent 3 weeks, they know exactly how much people can deal with, when they will break.
You can manage 3 weeks, can't you?
And what the ramification, and also that people need to blow out when they come out. So then suddenly we've got protests, and and those, in my view, seem to have been lockdown protests that have been given another outlet, if you like, in terms of the subject matter, but they allowed people to literally run riot, get it out of their system, and then go back to normal, except they didn't go back to normal. They went back to their new normality, which has been a lockdown normality, which it almost allows people to reset. Okay, that was really crazy, that wild rioting business, that protesting, and then we go back to a kind of a reset, which was just, we go back to this, to like a calm place, which was lockdown.
But of course it has to be a protest that the government approve of.
And even the way they've said things like, okay, we're going to ease lockdown, and the new laws that they've brought in, or the new regulations, are in some way even more stringent.
Well, I know,
because now you can be isolated in your home for 14 days at the say-so of someone else without recourse to judge and jury. Sorry, go on.
Well, that's a really interesting thing that you were just saying, because what is really, they say one thing, but then you have to look at the measures and you realise that they mean it's not actually happening. So when Boris says we're going to ease the lockdown, you have a lot of people saying, well, he's easing the lockdown. Yeah. And I thought, well, tell me some things he's done.
That has eased. Yeah, tell me something that's eased. I think
it's all psychological.
But even things like when certain politicians have got ill, or when they have told us they are ill, or even things like, I doubt things like at the moment Neil Ferguson is saying things about Sweden that suggest that it's almost like there's a game of cat and mouse being constantly played where you think, well, but for example, we were initially told that it was to flatten the curve, but that's been forgotten and dropped from the slogans.
Well, actually, I was thinking of getting a T-shirt saying, I'm old enough to remember when it was about flattening the curve. I thought somebody said that somewhere, actually. It was on. I didn't make it up myself.
You should have claimed it.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Or maybe even with an epidemic curve on it. So that was another thing I had, but wouldn't it be fun?
You could have it across people's breasts like that. I can remember when it was about flattening the curve.
That's really funny.
I thought of that myself.
So I was thinking of getting some T-shirts and get. I'm in a group with these two friends, and we've decided we're going to do some T-shirt design. Okay. And just sort of some kind of fun anti-lockdown T-shirts. Yeah. We were talking about things like that. So I was thinking of wearing something visible. Yeah. The idea of wearing something visible. Can you imagine standing? That you're queuing at Tesco's, obediently in your circle. Yeah. And I saw a graphic online. I thought it was quite funny. The little circle with the 2 feet. Yeah. And it says, "Please wait here." Yeah. Well, this graphic said something like, "Please wait here until you realise your government is brainwashing you."
Oh, wow.
And I just imagine standing in Tesco's and somebody seeing that on my back and wondering, would you get any head scratching?
Well, I've seen a really brilliant one, when the TSA and the pat-downs, where you go in the airplane and you go in your slave lines and they basically molest you, but somehow we accept it because we're getting on an aeroplane, right? Somebody had something written at something about the TSA all on the back, something that's probably not fit for
Oh, so it was a
something
yeah.
abusive about the TSA on the back. But that's a really clever way of doing it. If you're going to go into these ridiculous situations like wearing your placebo mask that they're forcing you to wear without any they don't care whether the mask works or not, they just care that you wear it.
Yeah,
So
you're
now
just-
that if we're being obliged to wear one on public transport, and I think it will come like it has in Spain and other places where they begin with it on public transport, then it'll be supermarkets.
Then it'll be everywhere.
Because we were just mentioning before the security movers off is that there's like the nudge theory. So the nudge theory is that you put out the laws, but then you allow the public to police them themselves.
Yeah.
So in the place where I work, it's
There's not enough police to police them.
right.
So
So
they need the
you
public to
require
police the public.
Yeah. So people were worried about martial law initially, but it's not going to work. Well, at the moment it looks like they're going to rely on the public to carry
It'll be
that.
your neighbours.
Yeah, your neighbours, which has
Yeah.
happened because the people have been
Oh,
snitching. Right?
terrible. I mean, you get potluck as to what neighbourhood you're in, and luckily I'm in an area where the thing is I've got a spaniel. Can you imagine saying to your spaniel, "We're going to stay at home to save lives"? I mean, I don't think.
but it's like the sea when you were saying about you can't go to the beach or go in the sea. I've made that joke way before, where like if you have one dog wouldn't say to another dog, "You're not allowed in the sea," because the dog would just ignore them.
Yeah, I know.
But for some reason, through the magic of government, we give other human beings the right to like